Congratulations, Jake, on a huge performance so far. How's the race been for you overall?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, we weren't supposed to be here. Came out of the Vuelta with some sickness and kind of last minute call up to come to here. But obviously, preparation for World Championships, needed to get some racing in the legs and did a good block of training going into the Vuelta, so I didn't really want it to go to waste. So we've been giving it a good crack here, and we've got Sam and Connor here. Is Sam, Connor, and myself, and then a couple of the young lads from the academy. So we're giving it a good crack, and I think we're kind of holding our own here. And it's always nice to be back at the Tour of Britain.
So how were the legs coming into this race after what you've been doing before?
Yeah, really good. I mean, I did a good block at altitude before the Vuelta, and then went into the Vuelta with the intention of trying to go for a stage win out in the Vuelta. So obviously I was in good condition, and kind of pulled out of the Vuelta with some sickness on stage 7, and fortunately it was just a 24-hour stomach bug, and then I was well enough to come to here. So don't really want the good condition and whatever to go to waste in the hard work. So came in pretty motivated and wanting to get some out of the race.
Well, after your result, newsblad, I think a lot of people had you down as a bit of a sprinter, but yesterday was a real climbers day, and you were right up there. So, you're obviously going up hills. You're obviously a real classics rider.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I was kind of pigeonholed into a sprinter when I first came onto the World Tour, and I think I've shown myself to be much more than that. I much prefer a hard day and a sprint from a small group, and that's kind of what the Het Nieuwsblad was. It was like a 40-man group. So certainly that's something that I prefer. I'm strong enough to get over the climbs with some of the best. So certainly it's a development opportunity as a bike rider, and it's the kind of rider that I want to develop more of rather than just being a British sprinter.
Being so high up in GC, you're second. I think you're down to 4th now. Or something
8th, I think, yeah.
You're looking at a GC result, or you're still looking for that stage win?
Yeah, I mean, the intention coming here wasn't really GC, it was to go for a stage win, and we got so close on stage 2. Still up there on GC. I think a lot of it's just going to come down to the bonus seconds of this race. Really, now the parkour is not hard enough to see any big time gaps and whatever. So we'll go for the stages, and as long as I'm going for a sprint, then I'm still going to be up there in GC because of the time bonuses and only being 22 seconds back. So I think we'll see how it goes with GC. It's not the target, obviously a stage win's the target, but going forwards now, I think there's a couple of sprint stages and then maybe a couple of breakaway stages. So unless I lose a lot of time on the GC, then I'm not going to be allowed to go in the breakaway. So I think we'll just kind of see where it goes and ride for that GC position, but we're not going to defend it.
Well, in summing it up, I guess yesterday was more of a GC day, more uncontrolled day, tax going, and I guess now it'll probably go back to normal with a breakaway, and then
you never really know the Tour of Britain, do you? I mean, it's we've got 4 World Tour teams here, and the first 35 guys are within 40 seconds of the GC, and then after that there's big time gaps from like 5 minutes downwards. So I mean, it depends on how Movistar want to ride the stage today. If they want to control and let a break go that's not within a GC threat, then I imagine they'll just let that go. But it depends if DSM and Bora want to ride for a sprint, and we'll see. But it's the Tour of Britain. You never really know what's going to happen. It's a bit of a
final question. I mean, you've raced I know you're only a really young guy and everything, but you've certainly done enough racing abroad to be able to compare the racing over there to here with our roads. Is it tougher over here with these grippy roads? Yeah,
I think the parkour this year it could be a lot harder. I mean, there hasn't really been a stage where we've seen huge time gaps for GC, so it's a bit of a shame in that sense. I think there's hard enough roads over here in the UK where you could make a much grippier race and make it a bit more.
Derbyshire Hills
make it a bit more interesting on GC, but. It's a shame the parkour that it is this year that it hasn't been harder. I think if the wind directions were different on the first 2 days, it would have been a different story. But it's moving forward. It is a hard race, Tour of Britain, and certainly yesterday was a real grippy day. But it's just a shame that the parkour isn't that little bit harder.
Well, it's a shame it's not in Warwickshire, because I lived just down the road from you when I lived at Napton. And the roads around there were pretty fantastic as well.
I mean they're good training roads, but I think for bike racing, it's the level of bike racing nowadays. It's not really hard enough to make a race. You really need to get out into the peaks, get out into the lakes and stuff like that. In Yorkshire, if you want a hard race, and these flatter stages around the Midlands, it's a bit harder to make a hard race.
So you like a hard race then?
Yeah.
Well, good luck today. I
Cheers.
guess you've got a good supportive team behind you.
Yeah, exactly. It's really good. The group of riders that we've got here, the academy lads are keen.
Good luck in Wollongong, by the way.
Thank you.
That's my old roads. The World's obviously going to suit you because that is a grippy course.
Yeah. I mean 270k as well, so it's that makes it a little bit harder. But that's going to be an interesting race. I think more than anything, it's going to be the distance and racing after the distance there with the fatigue in the legs. So
just be prepared for some rain like Yorkshire in 2019 because they're not having a lot of luck in Oz at the moment.
No, I've seen the weather forecast ain't great. Yeah.
All right, good luck.
Cheers. Thank you.